Good morning. Hello. I'm going to wave to some people as well as I go. Okay, so we're going to start standing up. Okay, standing up in my lovely living room with my doors to who knows what behind me. And we're going to start with a little side step. So I want you to relax your arms. Okay, and I want you to think about just doing a soft side step from side to side. Okay, side to side. And we're going to think first, why do we need ab rehab? What is this class about? Why do I need this class? This class is your bridge from having a kid and maybe raising a kid to getting back into fitness that is our standard fitness. So like intervals or cycling or running or boot camp classes, all that stuff. This is the vehicle to get you there. This ensures that your core is working properly, your abdominals are helping support you. We are closing the separation that might exist there. And I'm going to treat it like you have a separation. I'm going to think, yep, if you haven't done any work to close that separation, chances are the ab separation that that every woman gets upon their labor might still be there, right? And there's a big gap. We're still going from side to side. And information when it comes to how to rehab your body after you have a kid. There's a huge gap. They tell you everything about breastfeeding. They tell you everything about postpartum depression. These are all excellent topics, but no one stops and says, hey, how's that pelvic floor? Oh, how's that cesarean line? How's that feel? Do you feel like you're connected to your core again? Do you feel like you can lift your pelvic floor properly? I was never stopped and asked that. I was never told how to do anything to help get that strength back. And so here it is, the class that everybody needs and hopefully wants as well. So as we go from side to side here, I want you to think about your thigh bones, okay? Thigh bones sit in the hip sockets. We do lots of hips and glutes to help us get some good alignment and to also help with the function of our pelvic floor. I'm going to get you to open your thigh bones. You can't quite see my feet, so I'm going to move back. Open your thigh bones and close your thigh bones. Open your thigh bones and close your thigh bones. Open and close and open and close. We're just gently swiveling our thigh bones here. What does this have to do with our abs? This is a great question. What this has to do with regaining strength and engagement through our abs is that we're starting in our hip sockets and trying to move the thigh bone around in our hip sockets so that when we go to engage our glutes and our hips, we feel more of that side bum action, which then can help us move through our pelvis, which gets very stuck after having a kid, or after sitting on a chair all day, typing into a computer, driving around the city, all that kind of stuff, okay? So if we can move our pelvis better, means that we can move our pelvic floor better, which means we can activate our low belly better. All these things are super important. Okay, we're gonna stop this little swivel. So we're gonna stop in the center here. We're gonna lift and lower our heel in a little march, okay? So we kind of start from the bottom. We start from the bottom, from our feet, from our toes. We kind of work up the legs into our hip sockets today because I want to access our low belly today. This is a very challenging thing for a lot of people and a lot of moms to find those low belly muscles to help support our pelvis, to help support our low spine and our back, and to engage properly so that when we go and do big exercises with our legs in tabletop or crisscross or whatever, we actually have the stability and the support to do it, right? And generally speaking, we need these muscles to help support us in our daily life as well. All I'm doing right now are those little heel lifts, little heel lifts. Good. We're going to go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Okay, we're going to move some more. We're going to do a little swivel here, little swivel. So the ab rehab classes are all about 1, doing nice big movements, 2, okay, engaging quite a bit through our glutes and our hips, 3, then focusing in on the area of the body that we want to engage in our abdominals, side body, obliques, again, right? If we don't move our body, we're stuck in a position that can be twisted or bent or our ribs are one way. So we have to move our body. We're going to do this for a couple more here. We're just going to swivel the body for 3, good, for 2, good, for 1. Excellent. Okay, we're going to do a couple of squats, okay? So squats can be challenging for people that have a pelvis that doesn't like to move around too much, that's a bit stuck. So I want want you to think of the squat as sending your bum cheeks back behind you, okay? The sits bones are the bony part of your bum, and we're just gonna think about reaching the bony part of your bum wide. Can we reach the bony part of our bum wide? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they're still really stuck and we haven't really got there yet. And that's totally fine. We're gonna go for 4. Okay, we're gonna make sure that our low back has a little curve in it. So we gotta reach the bum cheeks back and the tailbone. Good. Bend through the knees. One more. Little bend. Come back up. Excellent. Okay. So we're gonna just do some more standing glutes, and then we're gonna come down onto the mat and work through our side body some more. So we're gonna go back to this position that we started with, this motion. This motion, this lateral motion is actually really helpful for also turning on our obliques, okay? Because I'm gonna get you to tip your body over gently. So what are some safe exercises and motions that you can do if you have that ab separation, if you've had a cesarean, if you are not quite feeling your core engaged, you know there's something wrong. Maybe you have incontinence. Maybe your SI joint doesn't work that well, right? SI joints in the back. A good exercise, let's talk about position. Standing position, anything standing up is A-okay, is usually very safe. Light weights to no weights, okay? So anytime you put strain or load on your body, it requires your core to connect to help you. So we try to keep the light weights there. 1, to help us think about our core as we use it, and 2, not to put too much strain so that the abdominal walls don't separate further, so that your cesarean incision doesn't get pulled on, so that your pelvic floor doesn't get any tighter than what it is. Okay, so we should be feeling, hopefully, some side bum hip action here. I want you to look at your thigh bones and make sure that they're facing somewhat straight. They're not opening on me. There's no opening. And I want you to make this nice and big. I'm going to tip over and lift. Tip over and lift. Tip over and lift. You're tipping over like a teapot so that those obliques, you may not feel it, but are starting to fire up to support that upper body, okay? So now we're getting into a little side body action along with those hips. Good, we're gonna go for 4, 3, good, 2, 1. Excellent, okay. So I'm gonna get you to try one more set of those squats. Bum reaches back, sits bones get wide, and then push through the heels and come on up. Okay, we bend at our hips, we bend at our knees, our bum reaches back behind us, sits bones get wide. You might feel like now you can move through those sits bones. And why is this important? This is important so that when we lie down on the mat, we're able to get into a better position and able to probably, might not happen today, access our low belly through some pelvic floor work, okay? So the movement is really important for the engagement. All right, we're gonna do one more little squat. I'm gonna come on down, bum goes back, come on up. Okay, I'm gonna tilt the camera down. Hello, 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 hello. I'm gonna say hello, how you doing? Perfect. And we're gonna go side lying. Side lying. Bring some cans with you. Okay, we're gonna get into the cans in just a tiny bit. I gotta keep an eye on the clock. We're gonna come on to our side, okay? Side lying. And so I'm gonna take the pillow underneath my head. I'm gonna try to keep myself in this shot. Actually, you know what? Let me just fix this just a tiny, my selfie stick is not that great. Okay, yeah, it's not gonna fall off there. There we go. So side lying, excellent. Perfect, okay. So once you get down there with the pillow underneath your head, sorry guys, I got 2 cameras going here. Okay, we're gonna move our rib cage on this side. So you might feel like, oh, side lying doesn't feel too good on the linea alba. If I have a separation here and my abs are not working very well in there and they're not supporting, they may feel like there's a pull. I want you to use your hand to gently brace your abdominals if that is the case. If you feel like, there's like a pull around my belly button that doesn't feel good, hand, lift, and just gently brace. I don't encourage using braces or bands, okay, for too much stuff, okay? So from while we lie here, I want you to think about my belly button, my abdominals, my ribs. I'm gonna gently lift my abdominals and lift my obliques off the mat, and we're gonna keep going with this glutes is what I'm trying to find the word for, glute series. So my leg is gonna open and close here. Open and close. So we're gonna do some glutes. Okay, some more glutes. So as we open and close, we're gonna think about working our side body and gently compressing our abdominals in, just gently, right? Everything we do with our core, our abs, our obliques, okay? Our internal obliques at our hips, our low belly is soft. I'm never gonna get you to suck in. I'm never gonna get you to squeeze. I don't want you to squeeze and suck in. I want you to think about gradually pulling towards the midline, okay? Just to hold your body in a nice neutral position here. Now the top hip might want to roll forward, but I want it to roll, the top hip might want to roll back, but I want it to roll forward, okay? So as we open and close this thigh bone, what we're actually trying to work back here is our piriformis. And our piriformis is a lovely muscle, but it's also a part of our pelvic floor. Hurrah! We're doing some pelvic floor work without doing the lifting and the relaxation that we're going to be doing closer to the end of this video. This is a great motion for you if you have a dysfunctional pelvic floor, if you feel like maybe you have some incontinence, you still, pee when you sneeze, right? So if we can find our glutes and our hips, it's going to help us, realign our pelvis and our spine, but it's also going to help us activate our pelvic floor. Perfect. Excellent. We're going to go for a pulse. We're going to hold the thigh bone open. We're going to push the hip forward, and we're going to lift halfway up and down. Can you still fit 2 fingers underneath that oblique? Lift it up. Gently pull in the abdominals. Oftentimes when we're working through our thigh bone, we forget about our upper body, but I want the upper body to help the lower body move, right? We're going to go for 5, 4, halfway up and down, 3, good, 2, 1. Okay, we're going to do a little swivel here. So I'm just going to relax. I'm going to take my top hip. I'm going to push my top hip gently away. I'm going to pull in my abdominals and my oblique off the mat. I'm going to lift my thigh bone up. And I'm going to circle my thigh bone back up and around, okay? So again, moving the thigh bone in the hip socket. Moving and working through side bum. This is going to activate a little bit of hamstring because the thigh bone is going to go back behind the hip a little bit. So you're going to swing it forward, lift it up, pull it back. Swing it forward, lift it up, pull it back. You're going to do opposite. Can we try to keep our upper body really still? And most of our pelvis really still as well. Our hip is going to move a little bit, but not a lot, okay? So as we try to isolate and hold that upper body, we're working through our abdominals and our obliques, okay? As we move the thigh bone in this nice big circle, we're going to go for 2, good. We're going to go for 1, excellent, good. Okay, I'm going to let the thigh bone go here. I'm going to come on up, and I'm going to try my best to do a tiny bit of pelvic floor work. So pelvic floor work is essential for turning on the low belly. The low belly fibers need a functioning pelvic floor, and a functioning pelvic floor needs to relax and it needs to lift. Oftentimes, our pelvic floors are lifted. But Jen, what is my pelvic floor? Your pelvic floor is located, right? It is a hammock of muscles that go from your pubic bone to your tailbone that keep your organs in your body, that also allow the flow of urine, right? Birthing canal, and as well as your bum, okay? So you got, if you're a lady, there might be some men here, okay? You don't have the birthing canal. Okay, so we're gonna go and sit on this pillow. Pillow is for feedback. Feedback that your pelvic floor, so that you know your pelvic floor is able to relax, okay? We're gonna sit on the pillow, we're gonna sit up nice and tall, our bum cheeks are gonna be back behind us. Take your hand and make sure there's a little tiny curve in the low back. Okay, ribs are soft. What I want you to do first is think about breathing into your rib cage and filling up your rib cage like a big, huge balloon. So you're gonna breathe in and let it go. Okay, maybe our ribs don't move really well. They get super stuck. That's okay. We're gonna try again. We're gonna think about breathing in and out. Okay, pelvic floor therapists are going to assign this exercise to you, a diaphragmatic breath, meaning you're going to breathe into your ribs as well as your tummy and fill it up as much as you can, because it's going to help you move your pelvic floor from your pubic bone to your tailbone gently away from your body. Gently away, gentle and gradual, okay? You're going to try that. You're going to breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. Fill up the lungs as much as you can. Think about breathing down. And you're going to try to gently push the pelvic floor away from you. You're not going to bear down, and you're going to relax, okay? It might happen, it might not happen. It can take a lot of these reps to find and release that pelvic floor, but it will become an automatic process that the body did before you were pregnant and now probably doesn't do after you're pregnant, but it can happen again. We're going to do one more. Breathe in. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. The deeper the breath, the more you push those ribs away from the body. Think 360 degrees, the more that pelvic floor is going to gently move towards the pillow and let it go, okay? We never push hard. We never bear down. That's going to cause a prolapse, okay? So that's going to cause your organs to move down. I don't want your organs to move down. I want them to be supported. So I want the pelvic floor to just gently move into the pillow. You might just feel the front, you might just feel the back, the sides, who knows? But you're going to try to think of it as a flower gently opening into the pillow. Let's do our glutes on the opposite side. So come to our side line. So we're going to come on down, okay? You're going to gently kick the heels back. Make sure the heels are in line with the bum. And we're going to think about doing that clam to start. Clam, open and close, open and close. That hip is going to move forward. You got it. Lift up. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the low belly while we set these guys on fire. The low belly muscles, okay, including our rectus, part of our rectus, so part of our six-pack, as well as deeper would be your transversus abdominis, and that's a big corset muscle. That big corset muscle is part of something called your deep core and your inner unit. And that huge corset muscle is a sandwiching muscle. It sandwiches the spine and the pelvis, and it needs the pelvic floor, it needs the multifidi that run up your spine, and your diaphragm to work together, okay? And oftentimes these are all not talking to each other because we were pregnant and we were stretched out. Our kids sat on our diaphragm. You might rip or tear if you're giving birth. You might have a cesarean which cuts through that muscle. And then no one tells you actually how to put this stuff back together again at the end, right? So this is how we put ourselves back together again. We move a little bit. We engage through our hips and our glutes a little bit. I'm on fire. I'm going to lift that leg up and I'm going to come halfway down and up, halfway down and up, halfway down and up. Lift the oblique, gently pull in the belly button, okay? Push the top hip forward a little bit. Exaggerate that top hip forward. We're going to go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Okay, so we're going to take that leg and we're going to swivel it. We're going to bring it forward, up, back, and around. Okay, and we're going to think about trying to keep the waistline from scrunching in. That hip pushes towards, for me, it's my kitchen. My kitchen's all the way over there, okay? We're going to do this. So our low belly needs activation through our pelvic floor. It needs a nice lift from our pelvic floor. So the Kegel. However, the Kegel is no good if you can't relax the pelvic floor gently away from you when you breathe in on the inhale. Inhaling, filling up that rib cage and your torso like a big, huge canister, and allowing that pelvic floor, let's switch directions, I'm on fire, switch directions, and allowing that pelvic floor to move away from you allows that pelvic floor to lift better, right? Because that's what the muscle needs to do. The muscle needs to go away and then it needs to lift. It can't lift very well if it doesn't ever move away from the body in an eccentric position. I hope that makes sense. This is a lot of information for a Wednesday at 10:30. Okay, so my glute is on this side, right? Excellent. We're gonna come on up. Perfect. I gotta keep an eye on time. Oh my goodness, we've got 10 minutes. Excellent. Okay, So I'm going to sit on my pillow. I'm going to try to move my pelvic floor one more time away from me, okay? I'm going to do a nice big deep breath. So now that both glutes are on, we've got lots of swiveling in the thigh bones. We're going to sit on the pillow. We're going to sit up nice and tall. Okay, my ribs are going to move back a little so they're not jutting forward. Good. So think ribs in line with hips. Okay, we're going to breathe into that rib cage. We're going to breathe into that belly. Fill it up, fill it up, fill it up, and we're going to try to just gently move our pelvic floor into the pillow. And then we're going to let it go. Okay, we're going to try 2 more times. If your pelvic floor doesn't really move into the pillow, that's okay. Don't stress about it. It's going to come with time and practice. We're going to breathe in, fill up the ribs, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. Puff the ribs away from the body and see if that pelvic floor moves gently away from you. It's all very, very soft, very soft. Softer than you've ever been taught to do something in your life because we live in a high intensity world. This is very soft, okay? One more, breathe in. Breathe in a little bit more. Can that pelvic floor move towards the pillow gently? Let it go. Maybe, okay? So the pelvic floor needs to move towards the pillow gently for it to lift better so that we can sandwich our low belly. And we're going to try to do that today in 7 minutes. But first we're going to talk upper abdominals with our hands and on our weights. So we're going to do this lying on our back, okay? I have some people that cannot lie on their back anymore. So you're going to stay seated on the pillow if you can't lie on your back, and you're not going to use the weights. It's too much for your shoulders, okay? And you're going to stay seated with your arms rounded around a barrel. Everybody else can come down onto their back. Down onto your back. I'm going to say hi, hi. Okay, so we're going to go down onto our back. Amazing. You can put the pillow underneath your head if you want. Great. If you don't want it under your head, then get rid of it. I keep it under my head if my ribs feel really popped towards the ceiling, okay? So if you're feeling like, whoa, my ribs are really arched, you're going to put the pillow under your head, okay? If your neck is bothering you, also. So my arms are going to come up, my ribs are going to shift a little towards the mat, and I'm going to think about anchoring my bum cheeks wide against the mat. Remember when we were standing up and doing our squats with a nice wide sit bone? This is where it comes in handy. This is called a neutral spine. Our head is on the mat, our ribs are on the mat, our bum cheeks are somewhat on the mat, and I keep a little curve for my low back that is around my natural waistline and atop of my bum. Okay? My rib cage is quite long. It comes to about my natural waistline. It is my natural waistline. It comes to my natural waistline all the way up to my neck. Those ribs have to be somewhat on the mat. Generally, I would love all of them to be down there, but no one's ribs are ever going to be down there. Okay, arms come up. So I'm going to sink my arm bones towards the mat, and I'm going to round them. And I'm going to turn so you can see my arms. Okay, I'm going to gently open the arms, and I'm going to hug a big barrel on the way back. And I'm going to breathe into the rib cage and make the ribs really wide on the mat, and I'm going to hug and come back. This is an amazing exercise to help you engage through the side body, okay, through the obliques that live on the rib cage, okay, those are your external obliques, and through the abdominals, especially the upper abdominals, okay. So while you open and close your arms, I want you to think, can I really resist myself as if I'm bringing my arms through some mud? I'm going to feel my bicep, my pec, that's great. I want to feel as if I'm thinking about my abdominal bellies sliding towards the midline and pulling down gently. This is your exercise if you have an ab separation above the belly button. Or even if you don't, it's a good way to start to connect to those upper abdominals and those obliques. So can we, as if I can't lie on my back, I'm going to do it from a seated position. Can we think about hugging a big round object, moving our arm bones and our shoulder blades away from the spine, and pull gently my ribs and my abdominals towards the center, as well as in a little bit. We want the sandwiching effect. The center and sandwich. It's a lot to think about, but you try your best by slowing it down. Again, that gradual motion, as if I'm really bringing my arms through some thick mud, will activate more side body and underarm. Now, try not to use your neck. Try not to use your neck. Okay, relax the neck, keep the shoulders relaxed. Pull the ribs back in line with the hips, and just keep the arms hugging around a barrel. The same goes if you're on your back. If you're on your back, you're hugging around the barrel, right? With the weights in your hands, it should feel a little bit harder, even if it's just a light weight, okay? We're gonna go for 3, open and close. We're gonna go for 2, open and close, good. 1, open and close. Take a tiny break. We're gonna do just the right arm. So I'm gonna stay seated up so I can talk into the camera, so I'm not talking to the ceiling. But if you're on your back, great. I want you to realign yourself. So if you're seated, the tailbone and sits bones are wide. If you're on your mat, your tailbone and sits bones go towards the mat, keeping a little curve in the low back. You're gonna gently bring the ribs back behind you. I'm gonna open just the right arm, and the left arm doesn't move. And I'm gonna pull the right arm back. Right arm opens, right shoulder blade slides, and then the shoulder blade slides with the arm bone. The shoulder blades have to move with the arm bone so that we can connect to the side body, and we can also start to support that shoulder blade, okay? We're developing muscles around the shoulder blade so that it can help support and move properly and take tension off of our neck. We're also closing the right side abdominals into the left. So if your separation is on one side, which it can be, we're thinking about the right side abdominals pulling towards the midline. Now let's go left hand. Left hand opens, left hand closes, or left arm, and I'm still hugging and bringing my arm bone through some mud. Shoulder blade moves with the arm bone, abdominals on the left pull towards the right gently. Okay, and I'm gonna think about them pulling towards the center and sandwiching, taking your time, okay? This is a new mom exercise, and it's very hard to describe in less than 30 minutes. And it's hard to make a reel or a video about this, but this is what's gonna close those abs. This is what's gonna start to get those obliques turned on so your ribs are in better alignment, right? We're gonna do one more, open and close. Good, okay. So we have that sandwiching and that upper abdominal and side body, maybe some of it on right now. It doesn't have to feel like 110%. You're not gonna be shaking and sweating through this, but you're gonna feel some connection. This is gonna help take the tension off the shoulders. You may have felt your neck a little bit, that is fine. I want you to release your neck, left and right. Okay, we are gonna go 5 minutes over time so that we can do the low belly. Okay, so the low belly. Again, if you can't lay on your back, you're gonna sit on a pillow, okay? I'm gonna lay on my back and do it from the back, okay? So I'm gonna come on down, and we're gonna think low belly engagement. Okie dokie, so I'm gonna take a nice big deep breath into that rib cage. And I'm gonna try to just relax the pelvic floor away from me. It might work, it might not work, it might feel like nothing because now there's no pillow, right? We're gonna do one of those. Breathe in. And I'm gonna try to just relax the pelvic floor away. Now, the pelvic floor can move away a little bit easier if our spine and our pelvis are in a neutral position, meaning the head is on the mat, the ribs are on the mat, and the tailbone and the sits bones, the bum cheeks, are gently pushing into the mat a little bit. Or my hip bones and my pubic bone are somewhat level, right? Somewhat level. So when that's somewhat level, I have a little curve in my low back that I want to hang on to always, always. I'm never smushing the curve out, okay? That little curve is very helpful and it needs to be there. Okay, one more deep breath in. Can I move my pelvic floor away from me? Maybe, maybe not. I'm going to start by moving my thigh bones now. My feet are going to be close together. My arms are going to be down by my side, or I can keep them on my pelvis, okay, my hips and my pubic bone. And I'm going to think about opening my right knee a little bit and pulling my right knee back, okay? I'm opening my right thigh bone and I'm pulling my thigh bone back, okay? While you're sitting on a pillow, you can't quite do this motion. But what you can do is go back to side lying. Okay, you can go back to side lying. It's the same thing as clam, okay? So if you can't lay on your back, you can go back to side lying and you're just gonna think about slowly opening that thigh bone and closing it. But we're gonna add the low belly element. The low belly element is we're gonna breathe in, pop our pelvic floor away from us, exhale and slowly lift our pelvic floor and sandwich our low belly. Breathe in, pelvic floor away. Exhale, gently lift pelvic floor, thigh bone comes back. So we're trying to move through our pelvic floor and sandwich the muscles between our hip bones as we lift our pelvic floor, okay? It seems like a lot sometimes if you've never done anything like this, but it becomes automatic. This will happen on its own over time. This is actually an automatic response that should happen, but it's not going to happen because we were sliced, we have stitches, we have hemorrhoids, we have all kinds of lovely stuff going on. We've been C-section, we hold, we breastfeed, we do all kinds of wacky stuff, right? So that's just life. And we're going to try the left leg opening. So left leg opens a little bit and pulls back, okay? So while we do this, we breathe in really deep, we try to relax our pelvic floor, and we try to lift our pelvic floor as we sandwich our low belly, and that thigh bone pulls back. Can we think about the thigh bone pulling through some mud on the way back? Just like our arms, right? So our arms come back, and our thigh bone comes back through some mud. Okay, we're going to leave our arms out of it for now. Good. We're going to go back to the right leg. We're going to relax our upper body and our pelvis. We're going to anchor our bum cheeks, anchor our tailbone. We're going to open our right thigh bone. And I want you to anchor through the left bum cheek. And then sandwich the low belly, lift the pelvic floor, pull the thigh bone back. Open the right thigh bone, anchor left bum cheek, okay? Lift pelvic floor, sandwich low belly. Two more. Keep going. Open the thigh bone, okay? You're going to think about pulling back, sandwiching the pelvic floor, sandwiching the low belly, lifting the pelvic floor. You're going to do the left side, okay? So if you're on the side lying, obviously you don't have to keep swiveling around and around. You just go one side, do a couple of reps, and then do a couple of reps on the opposite side, okay? So what you're going to think about is we need that pelvic floor lift so that our low belly can sandwich. We need it to relax on the inhale, lift on the exhale, okay? If we can get that motion going, it doesn't have to happen every single rep. It doesn't have to happen every single thing we do, but it will happen and it will connect. The more we think about that connection to our low belly from the bottom, which is the pelvic floor, up to the low belly, the more those muscles are going to work to stabilize our pelvis, the more they're going to work to help us keep our low back in a nice neutral position, and instead of having our low back swivel around like a hula hoop, which is no good, okay? And the more we're going to be able to move on to harder low belly exercises and harder Pilates or harder strength training or what have you, right? We need that function of the pelvic floor for that low belly muscle to work. Oh my goodness, this was a super technical class. And that is okay, okay? I'm going to put this onto a YouTube channel. I'm going to put it into the library at trainwithjen.com. Please don't be scared of the technicalities. They're just there to help you find what we want to actually work, which is pelvic floor, low belly, abs, obliques, into shoulders, so that we feel connected and we feel less broken. If you have any questions, please, please, please reach out. I'm happy to chat more about this. This class is going to get a little bit harder next week. So we're going to add on to this class, and it's going to be a little less detailed. Okay, but we're always going to come back to that pelvic floor relaxation and that lift because it's integral for what we need and what we're doing. Awesome. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much. I will see you again next Wednesday at 10:30. Bye.